Hello, encouragers. I'm Rebekah Scott, wife, mother of 4, author, and owner and designer of Rebekah Scott Designs. I'm here to encourage you, to make you feel the I can do this spirit each and every day of our awesome journeys to fulfill our many important roles. I believe we are fully equipped to execute, and I will provide as much knowledge, practices, and systems I can to help you understand just what I know you can do. Execute. We got this. Hello, encouragers. I have a very special guest with me today, and I'm super excited that she agreed to be on the podcast again. She was the second most downloaded podcast we have, and it's just very important that we follow up with Kim Henderson. Thank you, Kim, for coming today.
Thanks for having me.
And I think I should set the scene. We are sharing a microphone, and I don't do that with anybody. So Kim made the cut for us to do this. And believe me, my awesome executive assistant, Angie, gave me this cool tech box that you can have 2 microphones. And I just haven't figured it out yet. But today's podcast is about grace and how our generation and our stage of life is just really pursuing, I feel like they're always pursuing perfection, and with social media and the pictures that we post, and we can edit everything. We've got the pretty filter on Instagram, and everything is like so perfect, and we have to be the best at all of our roles. I thought it would just be great to have Kim on to explain that that's not always necessarily the case. And if you recall from our first podcast, first of all, I should say, our background is going to be intermittent loud. Like we have the fancy new vacuum that cues when it wants. So I don't even know when that's going to turn on. And we have Kim's son here, and then all of my children running around, and it's winter here in the Midwest. So we can stick them outside, but only for a certain amount of time before their toes might fall off, because it gets pretty cold over here. So that's our background. Anyways, today I just was thinking through writing this podcast on imperfection and why it's okay to embrace it and to encourage it with one another, that it's okay to just let things go, and that it sets up wonderful relationships for us not to have to feel like we have to be everything to everybody. And so I've just got a couple of conversation starters that Kim and I will just dive into. And then when I messaged her, she said, have you read the book
Present Over Perfect by Shauna Nyquist?
And I have not, but I've heard like wonderful things about it. And so I said, yeah, come on, let's talk about that. So tell us, Kim, where you are now. From the last time that we visited, you had quit an awesome job that was totally in your zone of excellence and genius and what you love to do. And you said no to worldly success and said, I need to
unplug.
Unplug and start over what I want to do. So how are things? Tell us your family situation and where things are right now.
I think they're right where we left off. I had taken a part-time job with Profile Coaching.
Oh, that's right.
I had told you that. So I'm still there about 20 hours a week. That is a perfect fit. And then I may have taken a fun job. I've never worked retail in my life, but I'm working just while my son's in school on Mondays at Athleta at the mall.
Oh, fun.
There's a nice little perk there. Yeah. So I just had to promise my husband that the job wouldn't cost him money. That was the deal. Yeah.
Good plan.
Still working on that. Yeah. Still working on that. So, my daughter gets married in June. So that is, we are under the 4-month mark. So that's definitely, on the to-do list. My second daughter graduates 3 weeks before that wedding. So that is, a to-do list as well. So yeah, those are kind of keeping me busy, filling my time.
But you haven't re-entered party planning.
No.
That's probably
not professionally.
Maybe that's a bad term for it. Maybe it's unprofessional of me to say that, but
event plan. Yeah. I mean, I've definitely had opportunity. People still reach out and didn't know if you were interested, and it's it's an automatic no for me. So
it is. Oh, good. Okay.
No, I do have a gal that used to intern. She's going to come help with my daughter's wedding, and she's getting married next year. So the deal was I'm going to go help with her wedding. So that's fun because that keeps it. I still get to do it, but and I just love her to pieces. So that's going to be exciting. And I benefit because then I get that help the day of my daughter's wedding.
So you can be present for your daughter's wedding.
Yes.
Love it. Okay. Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing. So the podcast, my thought was imperfection. And what really prompted it was the cleaning question for me. Because I feel like we talked in our pre-interview that I call them drop-by neighbors, where it's an intimate enough relationship or an unguarded enough relationship that they could drop by in your laundry. You said your laundry's on the couch.
I call them laundry friends.
You call them laundry friends. And I call them drop by neighbors where it's like the sink is not cleaned out. The countertops are a mess. There's crumbs on the floor. Somebody's running around in their diapers and no other clothes. Like the drop by neighbors. And why they're so important, and how you have some friends or you yourself have something that you pride yourself on that you just need to let go of. Like, why can't you just let go of that? There was a scenario where this friend of mine was telling me she went over to a friend's house that she thought she was pretty close with, and she wouldn't let her come in the door because she hadn't vacuumed the rug yet. The friend outside the door was like, listen, it's okay. Just, no big deal. And she's like, no, I just let me pick up a few more things.
Wow. Okay.
And so my thought was like, why do we do that to each other? Why do we feel? And then I found myself doing it with you, even coming over today. I'm like, it's laundry day, so we got all the baskets. What is this?
Laundry day. That's really funny.
What is this need or this compulsion? Like, why would you think it would be needed for it? And of course your reaction was, oh, I got, whatever. But I want us to be able to freely say it's okay not to have it all put together.
I don't know why we do that to ourselves. And going back, like I truly used to have the mentality that my house needed to be realtor ready every day.
Oh, you did?
I did. Like, I call it CDO, like OCD in alphabetical order. That's how, like, I'm not kidding you. My husband used to move a picture just to see how long it would take me to go move it back.
Wow.
So
you've given a long ways. Yeah. Not that I've seen your house now, but.
Oh, trust me. Like I swung the pendulum the other way. So, so I can completely relate to that. And I don't know where that came from. I don't know why I had that, but you can lose your mind.
Oh my gosh, for sure.
Yeah.
Did it bother you being in other people's homes that weren't like that?
No, not at all.
Just you needed to control your own environment.
Didn't even think twice about it. I think for me, I had two girls. Girls were a little easier and neater. I truly think that little boy, like he changed that for me. Like some things had to go or I truly would have lost my mind.
Yeah. Or him.
Yeah. I mean, like when my girls had like the little kitchen every night, I would like put the little dishes away.
Wow.
Yeah. So like just, like that's not good.
No.
That's not a good thing. So, but that little boy definitely changed things. I don't know if it was because he was a third kid. I don't know if it was because he was a boy. Who knows?
Okay. Yeah. Well, I'm glad you came the other direction.
Yeah.
But each one of us has something that we kind of get into. Like that. Right. That's going to be our thing that we need perfection. So tell us a little bit about the book that you mentioned and why it resonated so much with you.
Okay. So it had been on my radar, but I just hadn't read it. I knew people that were reading it and enjoying it. And then I had the opportunity to lead a small group for my church. And I instantly knew that's the book we're going to go with. Okay. So I, of course, read it in prep work for leading this small group. And I was just shell shocked. Like it rocked me to the core. It was so good. I have now read it 4 times. I've done it with the small group. I mean, if you looked at my copy, it's weathered. Like
awesome. That's a good one.
Yeah. It's just got a lot of great nuggets in it. So, there's just a lot of truths in there that, a lot of them hit me right between the eye, probably. Mm-hmm. So just diving into that.
Give us a few more of the bullet points that was like the top 2 aha moments when you were reading it that you're like, oh, whoa, that's what was going on.
Okay. So one for me was, I think she's talking about legacy. I don't know if it was legacy or whatever, but about what people would remember you for when you were gone. And one of them was, she said, kind of sarcastically, like, oh, she was so organized. And that was one that was kind of a gut punch for me. I don't want to be remembered because I was organized or efficient. Yeah. Like those are great qualities. Okay. And, it's okay to like strive for those things, but I don't want that to be what people sit around and remember me for.
No. So
that kind of cut deep. Another one, like in hindsight, like had I read this book maybe a year earlier when I had first heard of it, which like fit me to a T, was just because you can do something doesn't mean you have to do it.
Yes.
And that's kind of paraphrasing what she said, but that was kind of what I had gone through. Like just because I said I was going to do this and just because I can do it doesn't mean I have to.
Yeah.
So yeah, those were 2 really big takeaways for me for sure. There's lots.
So with the legacy nugget, did you walk away knowing what your legacy is going to be, or at least is it in the forefront of your brain and you're thinking over, okay, so if I realize that organizing and party event planning or whatever those aren't necessarily my legacy, did you walk away with does she talk about some of the qualities that would be worth a legacy?
I don't remember if she talks about qualities that would be. I think for myself, it would be, I pride myself. I want to be a great mom.
Yes. Okay.
So just like my children, that's definitely, that's my legacy, right?
Yes.
That's what you need to work on. That's what you need to pour into. Relationships, like just in general, not even with your children, but just with the people around you. And what did you do for people around you? Did you shine God's love on the people around you? Were you a light for them? Did you help somebody get to know Jesus better? Did you help somebody get to know Jesus that didn't know Jesus? Like, that's what I want my legacy to be. Okay. And so if those other things help me be more well-rounded and, run my life a little bit better, that's great, but that's not what I want to be remembered for.
Yes.
Okay.
So I've been able to narrow my legacy a little bit more down as far as like what I'm going to be aiming for. And it's subject to change, of course. I want to inspire creativity and confidence to people all over the world.
Love it.
So it's a very large concept because sometimes I inspire creativity when they open up a purse and they're like, oh, they want to create something themselves. Or it's a spark of confidence where they're like, throw their shoulders back. I designed this and this looks great. And I'm so excited to start my new job or bring my new baby home or enter school or gift this to my mother who's inspired me, whatever it might be. So sometimes that's through a purse and sometimes creativity and confidence comes through my podcast or my book. And so that's like what I want to pour into people and relationships around me, but also to my children, that we are walking billboards for Christ. And what are you going to inspire and bring out in people by the way that you behave? So I've been able to narrow it down a little bit, and I will record podcasts and probably write a whole book on how to pursue it. Because once you know it, then you're like, okay, God, but how do I do this in absolutely every last drop of talent and whatever that I've got? God, how am I going to continue to leave this legacy that you've placed on my heart?
That's good.
So how have you shown grace in the last 3 years? Like after reading this book where you're like, whoa, I was really hard on myself or others. How have you shown the most grace in the last 3 years? You were telling me about Holt's birthday party this week.
Oh, yeah. So that's grace, like let it go. Talk about let it go. So he had a birthday party. Typically that would have been like right up my alley and planning and perfection to the nines, and it happened to be football theme, which I had a stash of football stuff. So I pulled that. I did not make the cake. I did not make any treats. I did not like make anything, which was, wow.
Round of applause, Kim.
Although here's a little moment. So my husband's having the store-bought cake and he goes, not as good as yours, honey. Not as good as yours. And I didn't know whether to he meant that as a compliment because I know he did. Like sometimes we read too much into that or like we want to see stuff that's not there. He meant it as a compliment because he likes my cake. That's great. Thank you, honey. But he also, before that, had said how proud he was of me that I didn't stay up all night making everything and I didn't, kill myself doing that because guess what? Those little boys had just as great a time at that party. They didn't care if the cookies were store-bought versus homemade, if they had their names personalized on them. They didn't care. So, yes, he likes my cake better. That's great. But
thanks, honey.
He's over it and he was fine eating the store-bought cake. So, I had that moment. My dad's 70th birthday. I was in charge of the cakes and I bought cakes. And my mom, I told her over the phone I was going to buy cakes and I literally could hear the air leave her lungs. Oh no. Well, I have some in the freezer. She said, I have some cakes in the freezer you could use if you wanted to. And I said, Mom, I don't think Dad cares if I bring store-bought cake or homemade beautifully decorated cake. I just think he cares if I come. And that's kind of that, that whole...
Yes, that generation!
I know, because food is love and, nope, trust me, nobody cared. They bragged and bragged about how great the cake tastes. And one of them that I had paid someone else to decorate, everyone thought I did it, because I could have done it.
Okay.
I just let them think that. I didn't correct them.
Details. See, that's what it's like with... My mom had 5 sisters in the family, and they are 1970s feminist, but wonderful people. So let me say that first. There's like qualities that I can accept from all of them that are just incredible. But they were raised too, like, you're the best cook in the house. You're the best cleaner of the house. You can be a biomedical engineer. You can be a nurse, and you can raise good children, and you're like, blah, blah, blah. So the bar is like, it's here. High. And I was like, oh. Yeah. And so my mom still will say awesome things where she'll say, I catch myself trying to impress my sisters, and then I'll go, nope. Who am I doing this for? For example, like you said with the cakes, I bought a leather couch for this house, and it was like a rite of passage. I bought a Chesterfield caramel leather, nail heads, everybody glaze over. I love it, okay? And I only bought it after I met certain goals. And I told Nicholas, if I meet these certain goals with sales in the purses this summer, I'm going to buy the Chesterfield. And Nick politely just said, okay, sure, whatever. You know, he knew that if I would get it because I've got a competitive spirit. Anyways, bought it. My mom's like, are you sure you want to buy that with all the kids in their age? Maybe you want to buy something more washable. I was like, Mom. And instantly she was like, oh my gosh, you're right. If that's what you want, honey, you just do that. And then she felt terrible. But then I was able to open up conversation with her about, Mom, like, how am I going to enjoy this couch if I feel like you're always the one who's going to call and say, how did you treat the leather today? You know, like,
how's the couch holding up?
And that is another thing that sparked this podcast is like, there's a generation before us that is, and maybe it's just my own feelings, I feel like they're judging us for how much we're trying to juggle and think that we need to do all of this when they didn't have to do all of this. A lot of them got to be at home. So they could be the best cook, the best baker, the best cleaner, the best picker-upper of kids and getting them to all their activities where we're working jobs, even if we work from home, and having to do all these roles. So no wonder we're stressed out.
Well, and I feel like it's not even that because I'm working part-time, but it's choosing other things.
To prioritize, choosing relationships.
Because for me, I would have stayed up all night making the cake or the cookies, whatever it may be, and then struggled to do that. Yes, they would have been beautiful. Where now, like, you know, I shared this before, like I'm taking better care of myself where, you know, I'm getting up early and I'm going to go exercise or do something for me. So I don't know, like it's kind of, my priorities have changed.
It's the energy towards things that matter more.
Right. And that's not coming from like a selfish place because it's, like I'm taking care of me, but that benefits people around me as well. Like that benefits, I'm a better, happier mom. I'm a happier wife. I'm probably more pleasant to be around.
And you are personally also more fulfilled.
Correct.
Do you feel more?
Well, and I think sometimes when I did those beautiful things, who was it for? Like, who was I really trying to impress? I mean, I know. I mean, it was just for that pat on the back, like, oh, that's so beautiful. But what did I really gain from that?
Kim, can you give us some examples of how you personally, through this change and reading the book and then your own personal decision to let go of this unideal perfection or, you know, I'm going to bake the cake till 2 a.m. How have you learned to show grace towards other women and kind of like gently said, you gotta let that go? Because then there's like this, you can see it in women's shoulders and their neck and everything when it's like something that they prided themselves on, but not in a good way. Like I definitely throw my shoulders back when I'm proud of something that I've created or the book that I wrote or things like that. But when it's not something that you could tell is for the greater good, it's just like a pride and an ego thing. Mm-hmm. So how have you noticed that in others, or how have you shown them grace and taught them phrases, or what does that look like?
I don't know. I hope that I think I've probably always had more grace for others than I have.
That could be a whole other podcast.
Guilty of that, you know, we're our own worst enemy. I know one thing for me, like we talked about the laundry friends, just having, you know, like I'm a very social person. I love meeting new people. I love knowing lots of different people, but I would call a lot of people, you know, acquaintances. Like I think Facebook has like so damaged that. Like, they're my friend. Like, really? Do you know them? So again, back to that laundry friend, like having those core friends, like I would rather have a few true great laundry friends than, you know, all the friends in the world. So one thing, like I told you, the small group for my church, you know, just reaching out to different women from different circles, like and creating a safe place for those women. So like in the small group, just saying like, we're not here to fix each other because that's impossible. We're all imperfect, right? Nobody's perfect. We're here to listen. We're here to support. We're here to encourage and just knowing that you can bring your junk and we'll listen. Sometimes that's what somebody needs, is just somebody to listen. So, and being that friend to other people. And then you do those laundry friends maybe calling them on some of that stuff and be like, did you hear what you just said? Like, I don't know. Like I have a few of those friends, a handful of those friends where I can say that. And I don't know if that's what you meant. Is that what you meant? Mm-hmm. And just kind of,
or be able to explain to them, I know you well enough that that's not what you meant, but here's what it came across as. Because we get so judgmental, and it's easy to like put people in a place where you're like, well, she may think she has it all together, but you should see her house.
Right.
I'm like, whoa, stop. Don't do that. It just breaks my heart. Not that we're both not completely guilty for phrases like that, but stacking ourselves up.
But you're making you're just trying to make yourself, that's on you. You're trying to make yourself feel better. So I don't know, and I appreciate it when a friend does that for me, where they can help me figure that out. And because sometimes you do just need to vent. Maybe I shared this with you before. I don't know where I heard it, but Mark, I say this to Mark, we expect our husbands sometimes to read our minds. Like sometimes I just need to unload. So I will say trash can. I just need you to be a trash can. Just listen. Okay. Or then I'll say toolbox. I need you to get your toolbox out because I'm going to tell you something and I need you to help me fix it. How are they supposed to know? Because sometimes we just come at them.
Oh, and mine always would have the toolbox.
Right.
Like he's going to fix it.
Yeah, that's completely. But even having that with like your close girlfriends, like sometimes you just need to unload it.
You need a sounding board is what I call it. Yeah.
Like sometimes so I always clarify, do I need a trash can? Do I need a toolbox? Like what am I looking for here? Because, we can't expect people to know what we're thinking. Yeah. So I don't know, being that for my friends. And also just sometimes, if they're venting or just helping them find the positive. Like I want somebody to do that for me too, because I can wallow with the best of them, and help me find what's the positive here. What's the mentality of somebody else has it worse, just perspective, maybe some perspective, being that person for your friends, but definitely those small groups and just having that accountability. I think that's really. I
really liked that in our pre-interview when you said that it's a safe place to land, which sometimes is an overused term, but you said that it meant that they didn't have to walk away with you giving them all the answers, which makes it easier for us all to lead. I do not have all the answers, everybody, believe it or not. I'm recording a lot of podcasts and I still don't have all the answers, but it's a safe place to land and offer what I have learned and things. But I'm always thinking, I just think that's really good that you said to your friends in the small group, I may not have all the answers, but lay your burdens and lay your thoughts down here and we'll just chat about it. And it's a way to do the trash can, get it off your chest. It's going to be safe here. We're not going to run around and tell everybody that
we can't fix you.
You don't wash your sheets but once a year. But let's just let it out.
And here's a little, I don't know. So I told you I target women in different circles. I bring in single, married, younger, older, all of it. And sometimes those nuggets come from the most, the 22-year-old in the group has something. You're like, wow, like I hadn't even thought about it. Yeah, like everybody has a different perspective. So again, it's back to that perspective. And sometimes somebody might be able to put a different perspective on it. Like you as a married woman with 4 kids might be struggling with something. And a single lady might say, well, at least you have a family to stress out about, know, and then you're like, oh.
Sorry, yeah. That's what I called the phrase. And I recorded a whole podcast on it. Get over yourself.
Exactly. Yes, I remember that.
Get over yourself. Yes. Like it's a very good phrase. Mm-hmm. Okay. I would like to wrap this up with talking about a subject that in our pre-interview, we're both like, oh, yeah. Social media. And I do have an Instagram account with my business and I do use it to record, little Insta stories and stuff. But I have really pulled back on Facebook in the last 3 years. Just on a personal level, we obviously do it for our business and stuff, and I still like that. And
it's a necessity for business.
It is really is a necessity for business. But for my personal life, because I have I think, in self-reflecting, because I have such a competitive nature, I would the few times I did scroll, I was super competitive afterwards or felt less than afterwards. Ooh, yeah. I should post more pictures of my kiddos.
That's a slippery slope.
And then I would. And then I was like, well, I don't feel any better now. I feel like I just tried to one-up somebody. I'm like, what is this? So I just totally drew back from it and just started really thinking. And if you think about a lot of the things that people post, unless they're true funnies or something like that, a lot of it is just very, very ego-driven. The perception is that they are perfect and they have it all together and they, whatever it might be, I'm trying to phrase why I had to pull back because I found myself not being my true me. I was performing for others and not really doing it for myself and for my family or for my legacy, like we talked about.
Right. So it is a slippery slope because I do think, there are for business, it's necessary. And sadly that it's very business driven anymore. I think that everyone has a story and it's great to see everyone's story. And, there are people maybe that are a little more truthful in their story. But I also think it gives a false sense of again, it's back to real relationships. Okay. So get to know someone's story,
yes,
face to face and get to know them. I wish I could say 3 years ago, I pulled back. I would say in the last even few months, the turn of the new year, probably, I just kind of started reflecting on that and why do I feel the need to share this? Is it important? And who am I trying to impress with this?
Yeah.
And being in those moments, just being more present in those moments that I was capturing. I shared a story with you about, this was way back. My older daughter, it was prom, and I was trying to capture a video of the Grand March or whatever. They're walking across the stage, and shocker, technologically challenged, messed up the video, and missed the moment. So you very often do not see me taking pictures behind the camera because of that moment. I missed it. I didn't even get to see it in real time, let alone capture it forever, which I was trying to do. So just being present in the moment that was a good lesson for me to learn, because I think sometimes we get so caught up in capturing the memory that we don't even create the memory.
But I would be willing to bet that who are we creating the memory for? Is it so that we have it forever in our Shutterfly album that we don't ever finish? Or is it so we can post it on Facebook and prove we do stuff with our family?
Right.
There's a big complex there. Mm-hmm. And I just had the experience. I took the kids out sledding yesterday just here on the farm and got everybody bundled up out the door. And I'm like, wait, I got to go back in and get my camera. And I'm trying to be really conscious of saying camera and not phone because Gus is 11. So he's going to get a phone. We haven't decided yet. Jury's out, everybody. So if you think about how many times you could tally the times you say phones, I'm trying to use different phrases so that it's not such an emphasis on phones. I'm I got to go in and get my camera. It was my phone, and come back out. And then I was taking a picture of him because I needed to post it for the Encourager podcast, to be honest. And I needed to post it for Shop RSD that we do stuff except for working and sewing and that sort of thing. And I'm like, darn it, the sun is setting, and I'm trying to get the picture before the sun sets.
You missed
dang it, Mom. Mm-hmm. So shut the phone off, put it back inside. I'm like, no.
Shut the camera off.
Shut the camera off. Correct. Thank you. So that I could just be in the moment, and everybody visibly, palatably relaxed. Because it wasn't like Mom was like, hey, you two get together. So I guess in going forward with Facebook is just be really careful. And I would say, think about what your motive behind posting is. So a lot of the things that I do post is real mom moments so that I can get people to understand that, yes, I have an awesome company and I do get a lot done and I am very disciplined and I do love those things. I love being who I am, becoming more of who I am. Mm-hmm. But I also wanted to tell people oh, I am real. I am very, very, we're late to school because of XYZ, or finding the funny in things so that it's more relatable. It's okay, let your guard down and just be
real life.
Be real life. Post that you only got mascara on one eye and not both. I went on Facebook Live with only one earring on. And here's the thing. We go on Facebook Live at 9 p.m. for my other business because people can tune in. And so I have to reapply makeup at 8 at night. So I'm like, okay, basics. Am I going to choose mascara? Am I going to choose blush? Which one am I going to have decide? So I'm like, blush it is, which, side note, is my favorite. I'm going to be Rose later on in life. And my twin sister promised me she wouldn't let me get there. Okay. So I'm putting the blush on, put big earrings on because I'm like, well, I need something. I tried hard, right? And right during the Facebook Live event, my good church friend writes live, "You're missing an earring." And it was a big noticeable thing because it was a big... That's fantastic. This is so funny. And so in the moment, I was like, well, I could have fumbled around. And I was like, this is too funny. So I paused the whole Facebook Live and I was just like, everybody, this is, you're lucky I got blush on tonight. Here's what it is. I thought that is the perfect example. I'm so glad God used me to be humbled in this moment to be like, well, I was missing an earring. And not that it's a big thing to share, but I just thought that's one of those. Yeah. Then people were like, oh, totally relaxed.
There's a section in Present Over Perfect about how hard we try to appear low maintenance.
Oh, yes. Yes.
So true. Like,
yes.
Just that appearance that we don't care.
We don't care, but yet we
work
do.
really hard at it.
Yeah. I think I did. A friend of mine was talking about this book. Did she talk about the Southern women and how, no, that's Brene Brown.
Okay.
And how Southern women also, well, maybe it's just women in general. We try to appear, and we don't have to do that. We can say, no, it's taking me time, dude. I do not arrive like this. Like, we spend more energy trying to explain that it doesn't work than the energy that it does to actually do the whatever it is. So I guess going forward, I would just encourage you that when you post on social media, whether it's Snapchat or Instagram or Facebook or Marco Polo or whatever the newest one is that are you doing it to impress somebody? Does it lengthen or improve your legacy? And asking yourself, who are you trying to impress? If this is to share an awesome moment that you had with your family, that's one thing. Or is it to get back at your classmate who always posts? Like what is your purpose behind your postings?
I think that's great. It's kind of like the emails. Remember, are you sure you want to delete this? Like just, it should be like an automatic, like, are you sure you want to post this?
Yes. Yes. That there would be this pause.
Yeah. Just pause.
Awesome. Talk to me, Kim, about what she talks about in the book about jealousy. What's the red flag with jealousy that we need to reflect on?
So there's, sometimes you talked about it, like, that competitive, that, looking at other people and thinking, why did they have that? Or she uses the phrase that must be nice. So if you catch yourself like saying that, really taking a look at that and how you can learn from your jealousy. Like jealousy is a natural feeling, right? It happens. We're human. But instead of trying to like suppress it, because we've always been told it's a bad feeling, we shouldn't have it. Instead of suppressing it, like, looking at it and dissecting it and what does it mean and what does she have and what has she put in order for, so she can have that. And what do you need to do in your life? What do you need? And what do you want? And how do you make that happen? Like, stop complaining about it or stop saying, it must be nice, but not being willing to do anything about it.
I would say, what happened if the opposite, if you said, go her?
Oh, love it.
Think about the letting go of that. If instead of you say must be nice, if you just said go you, and that could be your phrase every time you feel the jealousy popping up, you just tell yourself go you. So in wrapping up this podcast, Kim, thank you again for coming on. It won't be the last time. How can we offer more grace and more imperfection in our life?
I say having more grace for yourself. Just make it a thing. Make it your thing. Let it go. Have grace for yourself. I had a friend who gave me, I don't have pockets today. It's a little stone and it says grace on it. It's like a worry stone.
Oh, yes.
Grace. Gotta have grace for yourself. Grace for others. Like I said, everyone has a story. You have no idea what kind of day they have had, what their week has been like, what their life has been like. Just have some grace. And then in those moments where you're having a hard time, maybe finding grace for yourself, just taking refuge in God's grace, because he has like the best grace ever.
And everything we go through is a part of our story. So he's allowing things to happen to us so that we can offer that grace to others going through that.
And guess what? He knows that story already. He knows all of it.
Yeah. Which sometimes I have to shake my fist because I'm like, really? I don't want to learn it right now. Can we delay it? But I know that his timing is also perfect. And now I think in my 30s, I recover faster, where I'm like, okay, fine, just learn the lesson and then we'll move on. Where before I would resist and resist and resist and resist. Well, if you don't learn the lesson, if it's grace or judgment or perfection or whatever it is, he will keep presenting opportunities for you to learn it.
Over and over.
Yes. So now I'm really perfect at getting that right. And the podcast is undone now. Just kidding. But I do try hard, and I do want everybody out there to show more grace towards each other. Don't vacuum your whole house every time someone comes over. Don't make sure all your laundry is shut up in the room and you lock the door. Be careful of when you say you're jealous of something, or you're not even going to say the word jealous because we were taught you can't say that word, but you may say must be nice, or well, she's always had it like that. That's a red flag, and just say go her.
Love it.
Thank you again, Kim, for coming today and talking to us about imperfection. Until next time, encouragers, we got this. Hey, encouragers, the book is printed and it's ready to get into your arms. It's called Equipped to Execute. guiding moms to joyfully impact family and business. I tell you, this book, Labor of Love, it's a super quick read. You could probably read it in a couple hours or so, but it's really helpful to kind of get that momentum going. If you're feeling overwhelmed, if you've had the scene where you're crying because there's no way you can meet all the roles in your life, I have been there. I've so been there, but I'm not there anymore. And I know how you can get out of that slump and start executing on all the things that God has equipped you to do. You can pick up the book at equippedtoexecute.com, also on my website at shoprsd.com, and it's also available on Amazon. So check out those sites. And also, side note, I just recorded the audio version, so you'll be able to listen to this on your way to work. Even with the audio version, though, I highly suggest buying it. It's $20 because you treat it as a workbook. I've got 5 questions at the end of each chapter to help you with starting that business or continue with that business with much more success and much more clarity on how to raise your family and your business at the same time. We got this, encouragers. Thank you for tuning in, encouragers. Remember to subscribe so it's automatically on your phone. We got this, encouragers.